you said hello to somebody and they didn't respond back, how would you react? In the business world, this has become a pretty interesting topic, and a solution to it as of lately has been pretty interesting as well. So, as you know, a lot of people go to college, go to school to earn a degree, and they get out. You're looking for a job, you're going to the interview, typically what a lot of people are still doing nowadays. And the interesting thing they'll bring up in the interview is they'll bring up the job requirements, the qualifications, the prereqs, everything that's necessary to perform the job. And they will have good communication skills or whatnot too. But one thing that's not covered and that a lot of people aren't taught necessarily, especially in this generation, are what's called soft skills. Now, soft skills are the ability to communicate, simply being able to show up on time for a task, common courtesy, manners. Can you socialize with people? Can you work well with others as a team? Those are really important skills. And, I work in technology, into artificial intelligence. And one of the major things that has been happening recently are that employers are looking for people who can communicate, because this technology, all the algorithms and equations, they're being replaced by computers and technology. They can do that. And especially it's also important because the people that are programming these programs need to understand how humans think and interact. So recently there's been a shift towards employers hiring people that are more outgoing, that are more social, that can show up, because of the fact that knowing those equations, the computers can do that job too. As has been told to me recently, as a human, you're not going to replace the algorithm. You need to be able to socialize and actually um, be interpreted and seen as another human being. So what a lot of employers are doing is that they see that the days of, let's say, for example, somebody, a really smart guy or really smart girl who understands and knows the technology, knows IT, for example, very well, or is very specialized and very highly skilled, but can't socialize, they can hold a department at work hostage if they don't like something that's going on, or if they distance themselves from coworkers. Well, let me tell you something about that now. Those days are over, because what they're doing in these interview processes now are they're seeing how well you can socialize, they're seeing how well you can interact. There are people that are seeing if trying to evaluate to see if you're going to um, interact with other social workers, even going as far as to see if you're going to hang out with your coworkers at social functions after work. They want to see your work-life balance. They want to see the fact whether you're going to be able to work with others as a team, because they have decided, and like when I say they, employers and employees, understandably, a lot of people take offense to people that they can't socialize with, especially at work. Like, a lot of us humans, we spend a lot of time at work, like about over 200 hours committed to our jobs. And, that's I mentioned over 200 hours at 40 hours a week, and of course the commute time and getting ready for work. And, so a lot of times people do take offense at work if you're not very sociable at work. And so a lot of people, they want to change that type of environment. They want to work with people that they like. Ideally, they want to work with people that they can communicate with, talk with, hang out with after work, grab a beer, or um, be able to go to social events. You'll have to volunteer with your workers and do charity events or whatnot. And in some cases, even though technically an employer is not supposed to be able to use your ability to socialize or your lack of socialization as criteria for a promotion, it happens, and that's just the truth. So how do you get past this? How do you you know get past this problem that some people see as an intrusion of their boundary between their work and life balance outside of work, play the game. At work, you're simply going to have to socialize. Um, I do understand that a lot of extroverts, they feed off social interaction. The problem is with introverts, they don't. A lot of introverts, a lot of introverts feed off of being by themselves, spending time alone. And so the problem is that most of the corporate world and the business environments are run by extroverts. So unfortunately, introverts, you're going to have to adapt in order to survive in these workplace climates. So what you're gonna have to do is, because I can speak on this topic because me, I'm naturally an introvert, but through interacting with people and through my college experience or whatnot, I'm actually become more of an ambivert. So I'm an introvert naturally, and I have extrovert qualities. So an extrovert tendencies. So I kind of know how to interact with people, talk to people, do small talk and whatnot, have a conversation. But I still have the qualities of introvert, in which I have to spend time by myself in order to recharge my batteries. And so the way to do this is like, think of it from an extrovert. An extrovert thinks that if you're not interacting with them, they're going to take it personally as, oh, that person might not like me. That person, wants to get away from me. That person, doesn't want anything to do with me, or yada yada. Or, an extrovert will view an introvert as antisocial. That's not the case. So, of course, extroverts, like I'll explain to you on the other flip side, as introverts, we get a lot of energy from spending time with ourselves. This is how we recharge. This is nothing personally against you. Um, it's just how we are wired as human beings. And so, but I have to state a practical solution. So, introverts are going to have to learn small talk. Um, you're going to have to pick up a newspaper every single morning, or go to a couple websites. I suggest New York Times or Washington Post, or even Wall Street Journal. Find out what's going on. Find out different events. If you don't have anything to talk about that everybody can relate to, then you'll have absolutely nothing to talk about, and people are going to view that as you don't like them, you want to stay away from them. So you're going to have to bridge that gap. I'd even suggest even picking up a couple of hobbies so you have something to talk to people about. Also, another thing is, if you go out and hang out with people, you have something else that you can talk to people about. Oh, this one time I was hanging out with Joe, and we went to take a couple shots of tequila and stuff, and that was pretty fun. Even though you might not view it as pretty much fun, a lot of other people will relate to that, and other people will open up to that. Yes, I know that a lot of times that if you're invited to a bar after work, a lot of people don't drink, but there are ways to get around that. You can go to a bar. A lot of bars have no problem serving people a Sprite. You know, a lot of times it looks like a gin and tonic to people. I mean, you'll get away with just being able to put a Sprite in there. Or, you can, instead of having the rum and Coke, you can just have one of the bartenders just pour you a Coca-Cola in a shot glass or something like that. Just have that. So there are definitely ways to get around that. But you are going to have to socialize in the workplace. Otherwise, you risk not being promoted. What a lot of companies are doing, especially because I recently attended an interview yesterday, a lot of companies are actually in the process of, um, and I mentioned this because I asked one of the interview questions what your emphasis on soft skills, and the response from the VP of one of the departments that was interviewing me was the fact that these kind of like people that tend not to socialize and tend not to get along with other people, we slowly work on phasing them out, and then we get rid of them. These are words from a VP of a very, very large company that has been around for, over a decade. I won't say their name. I'll respect the privacy, the confidentiality of that interview, but that's just the truth. And that is not the only company that's doing that. Um, I've also talked to other people in which other companies are doing the same thing. So in order to survive in this climate, you know, I say you'll have to interact with people. Now, when interacting with people, my suggestion is, you know, it's a good thing because it teaches you to stand up for yourself. You're going to have to set personal boundaries. Certain things are off topic. You can't discuss it at all. You can still talk to people and still keep your personal life separate from your work life. Like I said earlier, if you look at the events that are happening in the newspaper, perhaps pick a sport or pick a couple sports, go to those events, find out what your coworkers like, and try to find out and keep up with what's going on with that. Also, like I said, if you don't know something, feel free to ask questions about it. So let's say you grew up, and let's say you grew up and you love soccer, but your coworkers don't. This is a common problem that, especially a lot of foreigners run into in America, because like America, we're so crazy about basketball and football, but not really about soccer. I mean, it's changing though, because I've even looked into soccer, become more interested in soccer over the few years because I hang out with a lot of different, people. So, but a lot of Americans just don't really care about soccer. So what do you do? How do you adjust? One of the things I've seen a couple of my buddies do is they'll go ahead and ask about basketball. They'll watch a basketball game. Like you can simply go on YouTube, watch the highlights of a basketball game. Start interjecting yourself in the comments, making certain comments about basketball players. Get people, you interact with other people, and you learn more about basketball. If you can't name, if you say your favorite team is the Golden State Warriors, you can't name 5 people off it. I bet you if you bring up, okay, did you see what Stephen Curry did in that game last night, or did you see what Durant did in that game last night? People are going to start talking about it, and you're going to learn a lot about the game of basketball. And you're going to learn a lot about what's going on. So these are survival tactics. Like this is what it takes for you to survive in the corporate environment. Even as an entrepreneur, you might think, oh, I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to pretend not to be myself. I don't have to deal with people. You're absolutely wrong, because business is built off of providing value. And in order to provide value, you have to make connections with people. How you make connections with people? Conversation. And if that comes with the conversation, you're going to have to be able to hold your own in the conversation, because people build businesses through relationships, and that's not ever going to change, even with all this technology. If anything, it's going to, with all this technology, taking out all the mundane tasks that can be done, all the technical tasks that can be done, it's going to be even more important for you to be able to communicate with people and to be able to establish a rapport with people. And I just had to drop, my 2 cents in there. So, let me know what you guys think about this topic of, should a workplace, or should an employee, an employer, have an environment in which people have to socialize and have to talk to each other, or should it be phased out? Feel free to leave your comments below. And like I said, have a good day.